What's the biggest meltdown you've seen after a manager enforced a bad rule? I've spent my career as a factory automation engineer, and I've worked at some intense places, including a short stretch at Tesla. So when I joined my current factory, I didn't expect to make waves. I just wanted to solve problems, tune equipment, and keep things running smoothly. On my very first month, I noticed that one particular production line had an issue that had apparently existed for almost 20 years. The moment I saw it, I recognized the exact type of control problem. It matched the same kind of systems I had studied in engineering school, where small hardware variations caused big headaches if the control constants weren't adjusted. My supervisor didn't hesitate to approve the fix. Production management gave me the green light too. And since the other lines were working well enough, I didn't touch anything else. I just tuned this one problem line. The results were immediate. That line finally ran the way it was supposed to. Scrap dropped, uptime increased, and the operators were thrilled. It wasn't perfect, but compared to how they'd been fighting that equipment for years, it felt like a miracle. So I kept going. Over the next 6 months, I tuned dozens of processes across the factory. Nothing extreme, just subtle parameter adjustments that accounted for real differences in motors, heaters, sensors, and actuators. These weren't guesses. Each adjustment was backed by data, charts, and live performance metrics. I thought everything was going great until the day corporate engineering walked in. The corporate engineering manager pulled me aside with the kind of tone that made it clear I had stepped into something bigger than I realized. He informed me that I had violated a rule he had put in place years ago. All processes in all factories under his oversight were required to run on the same identical set of controller constants. I was stunned. In automation, that kind of rule doesn't just limit you, it ignores physical reality. Two motors from the same production batch can behave differently. Heating elements age, sensors drift, lines wear differently. No two pieces of equipment behave exactly the same, and trying to force them into a single set of control constants is like expecting every pair of shoes in a store to fit the same person. But the manager wasn't interested in hearing that. He told me to revert every single change I had made immediately, and he made it clear that my job depended on doing exactly that. So I did it. Within a week, scrap doubled. Some lines clogged constantly, others slowed to a crawl. Alarms went off nonstop. We lost 70 hours of uptime in 5 days. At $10,000 an hour, the downtime alone cost us over $1 million. Add the scrap, and the total hit the $2 million mark before the week was over. Corporate scheduled an emergency meeting, not a small one. Every regional manager, top-level engineer, and plant head was on the call. The tone was tense from the moment it started. When they asked what happened, the room went quiet. I shared my screen and pulled up the historian logs. For every line, I showed 3 sets of charts: the baseline before my changes, the improved performance after my changes, and the sudden drop after being forced to revert everything. It was all there in plain sight. I explained that standardizing code, set points, and general procedures made sense, but controller constants were different. They were meant to be tuned to each specific machine. The physics demanded it, and the data proved it. I walked through each case, step by step, without emotion and without any intention other than clarity. By the time I finished, the meeting was silent. Then the engineering VP asked one simple question: why didn't anyone know this? I stayed quiet. The answer was obvious. The manager who created the rule had been enforcing it for years. He'd pushed it across multiple factories, convinced it made him look like a champion of standardization. In reality, it had been holding performance back everywhere it was applied. A week later, he was no longer with the company. As for me, my plant saw a dramatic improvement once my tuning changes were restored. We hit the highest yields in our history. Uptime broke new records. And at the end of the year, I got a bonus equal to 40% of my salary. Even better, everyone at my plant got max-level bonuses since the site numbers were so strong. I never set out to challenge anyone. I just tuned the systems the way they were meant to be tuned. But in the end, the data spoke louder than anything else.